You're listening to Arcane Carolinas, an exploration of the Carolinas' folklore, legends, myths, and modern weird. Each episode, we examine the historical context of our topic and aim to preserve some of the stories that help make this part of the world such a fascinating place. Hello, and welcome to Arcane Carolinas. I'm your co-host, tired man, wearer of pants, fan of monkeys, Charlie Mushaw.
You are all of those things. Wow, yeah.
I am many things to many people.
I'm your other co-host, award-winning novelist Michael G. Williams, and I think monkeys are cool.
They're just fun. They're cheeky and mischievous.
Yeah,
when they're not being incredibly violent.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to live in a place that has a lot of them, but but I'm really glad they exist.
Let me rephrase that. I like cheeky fun monkeys and kind great apes.
Okay, you're on the Curious George end of the spectrum in your fandom, right?
Yeah, I don't like that. Like gorillas can rip your face off.
Right. Cool.
It's not that I don't like it; it's that I fear it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, woo! Getting off to a spicy start. Talking about monkeys. So this is a topic, this is a modern weird, and this is something I have wanted to talk about for over a year. This is one of my favorite modern weird stories out of South Carolina. It is a place that I'd like to go one day. It is something that I think you could make a lot of cool legends and myths around if you wanted to. Talking about Morgan Island, South Carolina, or as I like to refer to it, Monkey Island, South Carolina. And the format for this episode is going to be similar to our Halloween, the movie, Horror Movies in the Carolinas episode from fall 2020, where we talk about the topic and then we have a phone call with someone that has direct experience with the topic.
That sounds great.
So I'll explain what Monkey Island is. We'll chit chat about it. And then at a later date, we are actually going to have a phone call with someone that reached out to us who I have not talked to them yet about how they want to be addressed on the air. So I am not going to name names because I don't know if they want to use a pseudonym or whatever.
Sure.
We will get to that down the line. But there's a phone call coming with somebody that has seen the Monkey Island.
So there are mystery guests at the moment.
Yeah, they're a mystery guest. That's fun. I like that. Ooh, I don't think we've done that before, have we?
No, we haven't. No, and I'm very into it.
Nice. All right. Morgan Island is a sea island located in Beaufort County, South Carolina. It's 4,500 acres, roughly, a little less, with 635 acres upland. So like not marshy.
Right.
And the island is located between the Morgan and Coosaw rivers. It borders the St. Helena Sound to the south and Parrot Creek to the north. It is home to between 3,500 and 4,000 free-ranging rhesus monkeys.
What?
Yeah, it's an island of monkeys.
4,000 rhesus monkeys?
Yeah, so I found sources that were like it's 3,500, like on the nose, and then others that are like it's 4,000. So I'm in between 3,500 and 4,000 free-ranging rhesus monkeys
on just over 600 acres that are not marsh.
It's actually smaller than that. There's a 370 acre portion that supports like a semi-tropical forest, and that's where the monkeys generally hang out.
Gosh.
So they can go wherever they want, but they tend to hang out in a very specific 370 acre portion.
That's like 10 monkeys per acre. That's pretty crowded with monkeys. That's like you can't not be around 10 monkeys.
It's like the old Barrel of Monkeys toy, like kids' toy, where you open it and it's just like packed with monkeys.
Yes, exactly. It's that.
I have not thought of that toy in years, decades. But when you said it's a lot of monkeys, I just pictured like the little chain of monkeys getting pulled out. I wonder if they still make those. They probably still make that, right?
I'm sure they do. They still make everything.
Somebody somewhere. So you might be asking yourself, how is such a dense monkey population supported on a sea island? So this is kind of out there, far from the mainland. These monkeys are fed. This colony of monkeys is fed by automated systems that are activated inside of a building along the north coast of the island, where there is a dock and a small facility tended to by a caretaker.
Okay, so there's human supervision of this environment, and they are provided with food.
Yes, there is a monkey keeper.
Wow. I would love to read that person's resume. I would, and their job description also.
So there was the art house movie a year or two ago, The Lighthouse with imagine that, but with monkey keepers.
Wow.
People going completely crazy. And
I'm a big fan of that movie. The movie is fantastic, and it would be so radically different and in some ways better if it were also about 4,000 monkeys.
So when I first heard about this island, it was probably like 10 years ago. I read about this in a book and was like, whoa. And in my mind, because in the description of it, it was for experiments, which is not completely true. We'll get into that. I got like really strong Dr. Moreau vibes.
Especially the part that there is human supervision and human management of the environment, at least insofar as feeding them. The obvious first question is, where did these monkeys come from and why did they get put there?
Right. So I get like that show Lost that ended horrifically. Sorry if you liked the ending. I didn't. I'm getting like a hatch vibe. Like there's like a bunker and they're down in the hatch and like they push the button and feed the monkeys and there's like a person down there and all these experiments going on.
I feel like that's actually where Deep 13 is, you know. Right. The Gizmonics Institute from MST3K.
Right. But that is not the case. What it really is there has been an observational study on the monkeys' impact on the land with no interference. Just see what the monkeys do. It's an observational study in its entirety. That is the only experiment being conducted or that has been conducted on the monkeys themselves on the island. Otherwise, it is a breeding colony for monkeys for scientific purposes elsewhere. So rather than like import monkeys from other countries, these monkeys are government-funded monkeys for scientific research in the United States.
Government-funded monkeys is an unexpectedly fun phrase. So basically, this is a free-range monkey farm.
Yeah, monkey farm. Come on down to the monkey farm. More fun than an island of monkeys.
That is just wild. I started to say that's wild, but that's no pun intended. That's just very surprising. I've never heard of this. I had no idea this existed. Had somebody said to me 5 minutes ago, Michael, we're going to start this episode by you defining what you think Monkey Island is, I would be like, I don't know, probably a barrier island with like 30 monkeys on it because somebody abandoned one there. That blows my mind.
So there is one other monkey farm like this in the U.S., and that one's in Florida. So, federal research and if you need a monkey for whatever, I'm not condoning cruelty to animals by saying that, by saying this in a cheeky way, but, monkeys are used in medical research. And if you need a monkey for your medical research, it's probably coming from Monkey Island, South Carolina, or the facility in Florida. There's like, if you need a monkey, you got two places to go. It's like Pepsi or Coke, right? You can hit your South Carolina monkey, your Florida monkey. Those are your choices.
Gosh.
I just imagine, the whole like Florida man bit. The Florida monkeys are a little crazier. They get into a little bit more trouble.
I wouldn't at all be surprised to find out if Monkey Island in Florida was entirely the result of abandoned exotic pets, because that's a real problem in Florida.
Yeah.
But that's just all of my usual go-to amplifier words don't work because I started to say, well, that's bananas, but I am not that person. It's surprising to me how intentional this is.
Yeah, it's very well planned out. So historically, the island had been uninhabited due to its location and distance from the mainland, right?
Sure.
So there's nothing on this island. And the monkey colony that is now on Morgan Island was originally located in La Parguera, Puerto Rico, at the Caribbean Primate Research Center. But this is according to the CDC. Some herpes-infected monkeys were getting out and spreading the virus as the colony became overpopulated.
Gosh.
So there were these herpes monkeys like passing it around. And as the population grew, because they were free ranging in Puerto Rico as well, like they had this area that was the colony. A couple of them started to wander off and were just like spreading the monkey herp. And Puerto Rico was by no means pleased with their herpes monkeys. And we're like, this is a problem.
Puerto Rico has been badly exploited by the United States many times over, and by many powers many times over. The history of Puerto Rico is really fascinating and very messed up. In my imagination, They're officials from the Puerto Rican government, from the territorial government. And they gave us herpes monkeys.
The year was 1979, so we're in the Carter administration. Carter decided to do something about it.
Good for him.
And South Carolina stepped up and they said, hey, we have semi-tropical islands. We'll take the monkeys. So resources were allocated to move the monkeys, support the monkeys, and bring them to South Carolina. And there were 1,400 at the time.
Wow.
As you're capturing them and moving them, you're counting them. So that's, one monkey, two monkey, three monkey, up to 1,400. That's how they got there. There was 1,400 moved in 1979. And the island is operated and owned by the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources to, quote, provide a natural outdoor laboratory for research and education.
And definitely not tourism.
Yes. People are explicitly not allowed on the island. You're not supposed to go there. There's signs and it's dangerous to you and the monkeys. You're not supposed to go mess with the monkeys. You can go by it. You can kayak or boat past it, which is what our guest today will share, that he was out kayaking. And anyway, I don't know what he's going to say because we haven't talked to him yet, but he seems like a really nice person and is willing to share his monkey story, which makes me very happy.
As a horror novelist, I feel like I need to point out that people deciding to go to that island is how we get zombie movies. And it never goes well for the people who start the epidemic in a zombie movie. It just doesn't. Like, if that excites you, don't be that person.
Don't go touch the monkeys. Take your boat, row near it, look at the monkeys from the shore and be like, cool, neat. Let's keep it rolling. Yeah. So, and people do that. The wackiest story that I could find, which tells me that it's actually a pretty well-run facility, if the only wacky story I could find was from 2005, where a monkey popped up on another island that it should not have been able to swim to. Like, it was far enough away that it shouldn't have been able to swim to it. And the going theory was that it either stowed away on a boat or was swimming and latched on to like a kayaker or a boat, and they didn't know it, and then let go and was like made its way over to the.
I was gonna say, what happens if you get too close and one just jumps onto your boat? For all I know,
This is our boat now.
Right. I don't.
That's how Planet of the Apes started.
Yeah, I feel like Monkey Pirate is an even bigger problem.
Yes.
We've talked about how real pirates were not good people. They were not fun time, blouse wearing, interesting rogues. They were really horrible, violent criminals. Even though I love the aesthetic, I don't love the life.
Sure. You're not about that pirate life.
Yeah. I'm about the pirate costumes. I'm not about the pirate life. And pirate monkey sounds really super dangerous bad.
This is great. In a nutshell, that's the history of Monkey Island, South Carolina. And it sounds like the type of place I would really like to paddle a boat by. I have never been on a kayak in my life. So that's a bit of a problem for this, this pipe dream.
And sea kayaking is different and difficult.
Yeah, but I'd like to check it out one day.
Sure. There are dolphin tours, on the coast. I wonder if there are, fishing expedition boats that hire out to go do a photo safari of Monkey Island.
If there's not, there should be.
Yeah.
Come see the Monkey Island. You can't touch it, but you can look. Please don't feed the monkeys. They have a chute for that.
Oh, gosh. It's so fascinating to me. This just borders right on Jurassic Park as a concept. It's just one evolutionary tree away from Jurassic, well, into, the obvious science fiction elements of Jurassic Park as a concept. I am absolutely fascinated by this. I love it.
Well, we'll stop this segment now, and later we're going to have a conversation with an individual that has seen the monkeys, and we will hear their take on it.
Good deal.
As mentioned previously, this episode is sort of being formatted the same way we did our horror movie episode, where we pre-recorded a segment, alluded to a special guest, and now it is time to speak to that special guest. Today, the mystery guest is Alan in South Carolina.
Oh, man. Special and mystery guest. That's higher praise than I've ever received.
You are the first person I've ever spoken to that has braved the waters surrounding the Monkey Island and taken it in.
Oh, well, it doesn't happen too often, especially in a kayak. The tide and current's a little stronger than expected. But a lot of people around here do take their power boats out there and sailboats. But highly recommended, even in a kayak. but definitely time your travels with the direction of the tide.
So you reached out to us with the suggestion that we should talk about this because it fits under that umbrella of modern weird.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about how you discovered it.
Actually, I saw it in a weird Facebook post. Pretty much if there's a Facebook suggestion that pops up like, oh, you might be interested in, I just follow it. So there are plenty of groups on Facebook that I don't even know that I'm following, but every now and then they show
Right.
up. I just like getting all sorts of stuff in my feed. And I saw an article pop up about a monkey island in South Carolina, and it piqued my curiosity. So I clicked on it and read the article and kind of blew my mind. I've been here for 13 years now in the Charleston area, and I had never heard of it, but come to find out, it's kind of a common knowledge thing. It's one of those not secret secrets.
Right.
Nobody really talks about it because it's just everybody knows about it. So when you don't know about it, you never hear about it. But yeah, I heard about it, checked it on the map to see where it was and looked at it. It's like, oh, we can totally kayak out to that. So talked to the girlfriend, and she's animal crazy. So she was immediately excited and wanted to go that day. It didn't quite work out that way, but we did get down there as soon as I could. But yeah, it was a great day. If you go down towards Beaufort area out of Charleston and go past Beaufort out onto St. Helena Island. From there, the actual name of the island is Morgan Island, but everybody just calls it Monkey Island here. And you can launch at any of many boat launch sites in the river or in any of the creeks and paddle your way out there. It's a good thing. There is a sandbar out there. Once you come out of the creeks and into the main river, out of curiosity, while we were going out there, thankfully we did time it with the tides because the current is exceptionally strong. If you have a motorized boat, you won't have a problem. But when you're going by wind and manpower, my kayak is a 2-seater, but I have a sail as well. So it helps things move along. But even with the sail and both of us paddling as fast as we could, if we turned back against the current, we weren't making any progress at all. There is a sandbar out there that you can stop at too. So we took the tide out and we kind of paddled around the island, got to see the monkeys. The goal is to get there as early as possible. As the heat comes up in the day, the monkeys move back into the interior of the island, which is really thick vegetation. In the mornings and in the evenings, they're out along the beach. Thankfully, it was a little warm. I was starting to be concerned that we weren't going to be able to see any, but we did end up seeing a family of them, 2 or 3 full grown, or what I assume to be full grown. I'm not a monkey expert. And a whole pile of little ones bouncing around and hanging from the trees and playing in the sand. You're not allowed on the island, but
Right.
you can go right up to the very edge. So, and being in a kayak, that's what we did. I paddled right up until the tip of the kayak dug into the sand so we wouldn't be swept away. We just kind of sat there and watched, and the girlfriend took some pictures, put on quite a little show for us. Then eventually just kind of moved back into the trees, and we were able to paddle back to that little sandbar, and we ate some lunch, took a nap, swam around, sat out there for about 3 hours till I could feel the tide turn, then headed back, and actually got a great show from a bunch of dolphins too on the way back up into the creek. There were a couple pods of dolphins doing aerial tricks and coming right up to the kayak and bumping and sticking their nose up on it. It was a good time. All around,
Wow.
Pretty amazing day for low country South Carolina wildlife.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
It really was.
I imagine that the monkeys have to go back into the woods because it's time to drop the tiny monkeys at monkey school and go to monkey work. And
It could be. It could be. As far as I know, it's only been government officials on there since they put them there. So who knows what they've done back there.
a highly complex society developed in those woods.
And it is hidden under the guise of research monkeys. But, anywhere
Right.
you look, it never really tells you what kind of research. So it's like, I don't know if they're raising them for lab animals or if maybe they're researching monkey society and trying to grow a subculture. Who knows? Could be anything with the government, right?
Right. We actually cover this a little bit in the other segment that we're going to do. They are raised there as a source of monkeys for research. And there's
Right.
another.
Well, and that's kind of what I had figured. Yeah.
And there's another monkey island. There's 2 where you can get your research monkeys. The other one's in Florida.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. I've heard they actually have escaped a few of them. They managed to make it back to the mainland, and they like to run around. I used to work with a guy that lived down in that area, and he was talking about how the monkeys would come into people's yards and terrorize it all the time, and they're escapees down there. So
They could not pay me enough to live in Florida.
Rampant monkeys.
no, I'm okay. Yeah.
Well, that's an awesome story. Thank you for sharing, 1, how people can do it should they choose to, 2, sharing your experience, and 3, highlighting that you're not supposed to actually go bother the monkeys on the island.
Right. I tend to be a little bit of a researcher. One of the reasons they claim that you're not supposed to go on there is these monkeys do carry diseases because they have been left alone, like certain types of herpes, for example, and things like that, which sounds very, very plausible. But at the same time, who knows? It might just be a way to make sure you don't go on the island and mess with the monkeys, which you really shouldn't do anyway. They got enough problems.
So that is true. That's how they got there in the first place. They were in Puerto Rico to start. And the population grew to the point where monkeys started escaping. And Puerto Rico apparently was like, hey, we're not doing this anymore. You get, because it's like, federal grants and stuff fund this.
Yeah, come get your monkeys.
Right, come get your monkeys. And South Carolina was like, we'll take your monkeys. There's so many little nuggets like that like sound like rumors or like scare tales. Then you dig into it and you find out why. And you're just like, oh, cool. Right. This is a really interesting place. So thank you again for coming on.
Hey, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Arcane Carolinas. Thanks for joining us. If you liked it, give us a rating, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, send us an email and tell us why. If you're not wrong, we'll try to fix it.
And if you're interested in award-winning speculative fiction, including science fiction, urban fantasy, and horror, find me, Michael G. Williams, at www.michaelgwilliamsbooks.com and check out Falstaff Books at falstaffbooks.com.
If you'd like to pick up some Arcane Carolinas merch, look at behind-the-scenes info, pictures, videos, stuff like that, all the things that get cut, check out arcanecarolinas.com, where you can get access to our Patreon, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, all that in one place, including the merch store. Buy a shirt.
Clothe your body.
Drape your body in our wares.
Be our living billboards.
That's all, folks. I'm going to press stop on recording now. Michael will edit that out.